Hello there and welcome into the Career Competitor Podcast with me, Steve Meller, and we are the show that seeks to light that competitive fire within you in order to jumpstart or optimize your career. As always, we're brought to you by my friends over at CG Sports, and today I have the wonderful opportunity to welcome back in Keely Cat Wells to the Career Competitor Podcast. And for those of you that caught her first interview a little over a year ago with us, will know that this is an impressive young lady. This is a really, really impressive young lady. This is someone that, quite frankly, is achieving things way beyond her years. But none of this has been given. None of this has been by accident. All of this has happened because of the intent that she goes about what it is she does. For those that maybe need a quick reminder on what it is that she is really excelling in today, her main role, her main responsibility on a day-to-day basis, as she'll mention this in the interview, is being the CEO of C Talent Management, which is a full-service talent management company that represents high-profile deaf and disabled artists, athletes, and influencers on a global level. But Keely has found ways to not only be successful as a professional in the last year or so since we last spoke, but she's been investing just as much time into her personal life as well. So much, in fact, that she and her long-term boyfriend have now become engaged, and she's actually got a little surprise for you within the episode too. I don't want to ruin it, no spoilers here, but you need to listen in to see just how incredible things are going on a personal level for Keely. Now, as we listen into this discussion with Keely, it's pretty short and sweet today, guys, about 15, 16 minutes. And what I love about it is it's just jam-packed full of great insight. And it's not just updates about what has been happening with Keely. What it does is it actually brings to your attention the ways in which she's been able to be successful. She is a career competitor to the highest level because of the intent with which she goes about the work that she does. Everything is purposeful. Everything that she does comes from a place where she has decided that this is the direction she intends to go. This is what she intends to achieve. And now it's time to go do it. She uses the word manifest within the interview, and it's one of those words that I believe is all-encompassing. You can't slightly manifest something. You either do it or you don't. And I love that in Keely's case, there was this huge achievement of hers in the last year or so that, again, no spoilers, I'm excited to share with you here and allow her to explain in her own words as to how she was able to accomplish this and what it's meant for her. So without any further delay, let's jump right into my interview with the wonderful Keely Cat Wells today on the Career Competitor Podcast, and I hope you all enjoy. Hey guys, before we jump into this interview, please make sure if you're on Instagram, go to career_competitor, give us a follow. There you're going to find information about all my guests and episodes that we have coming up. In addition, I have links in my bio to each and every episode too. That link will take you to Apple Podcasts. If you are someone that likes to listen through Apple Podcasts, while you're there, take the time to leave a review of some sort. You can just click the 5th star, make things easy on yourself, or you can even write something as well. Let me know your thoughts. I would love to hear from you. In addition to that, make sure you're subscribed or following the show on whatever podcasting platform you're listening to us on. And finally, I would love to connect with you personally. So if you're on LinkedIn, make sure you're connecting with me, Steve Meller. I would love to hear from you. I would also love to hear if you think you or somebody else could be a great guest to come on the show. So many reasons to be following us, so many reasons to be listening to Career Competitor Podcast. But for now, let's get right to the interview. Okay, well, it gives me great pleasure to welcome back onto the show Keely Cat Wells. Keely, how are you today?
I'm great, thank you. Doing good. Pleased to be back. Thank you.
Absolutely. You're only my third guest I've had return to the show. It means that there must be so many reasons for you to return. If I'm going to make such a special deal about bringing someone back onto the show, you must have some stuff to share, and you certainly do. And I'm really excited just to kind of get our listeners up to speed with some of the things you've had going on within your world of late. And why don't you just give us a quick reminder, maybe for those that didn't catch your first episode, what it is that keeps you so busy on a day-to-day basis at the moment?
Yeah, absolutely. So I run a company called C Talent, and we represent high-profile deaf and disabled artists like athletes, influencers, actors, writers, and so many more. And we also consult for large companies, helping them become inclusive and disability inclusive beyond compliance. And then we're also building a studio in the UK too.
on the just a little add-on there at the end. We're just building a studio. And believe it or not, I was on social media right before this, and is one of your athletes has just won an Olympic gold medal. Is that right?
Yes, she did. She's just won gold, broken her own world record.
Oh my goodness.
Just crushing it. Yeah.
Unbelievable. Wonderful, wonderful stuff. So many great things going on in your world, and I'm here as a fan, and I'm really enjoying all of it. And one most noticeable thing that's happened to you since we last spoke is that you were named as part of Forbes 30 under 30, which is, to say it's an achievement is an understatement. I mean, and more than anything, I'm sure you'll go into this a little bit, is how much of a testament it is to so much work that's been done behind the scenes by so many people, etc. But firstly, congratulations, because it's just an amazing achievement. And secondly, Keely, why don't you just kind of tell us in your own words, what it meant to you, why you think it happened to you, etc. Just sort of walk us through all of those thoughts.
Thank you so much. Yeah, it was a surprise, honestly. It was amazing. I mean, you have the option to nominate yourself and then also have other people nominate you. So I definitely just took the plunge and was like, I want to manifest this so bad one day. So I don't think I'm going to get it this year, but I'm just going to nominate myself anyway,
Right.
as a step towards manifesting it. And then when I did find out, it was pretty damn amazing. And I think for me, like you, as being like a young person in business, I often get told like, oh, you can't do that, you're so young, or like, oh, you're so young, that's, you get underestimated, you don't get taken seriously. So I think now the conversations have really changed to like, oh, Forbes 30 under 30, that's awesome. Like, you automatically get given a piece of authority, and people definitely treat you differently in business. So it's been wonderful to have that little piece of recognition, and to be able to go into these conversations with a slightly different authority there.
Yeah, that's an interesting look on it. I never thought of it that way. Almost pre-qualifies you going into a meeting, and gives you this aura of respect and expectation around who it is you are. That's a very neat component to that. Now, tell me a little bit about, just with all the stuff you enlightened us at the beginning with what it is you're doing. Talk to us a little bit about what that maybe did from a recognition standpoint, because you work so much in a world where, as we spoke about on the first time you came on the show, you get so overlooked, you don't get the credit you deserve, you don't get the opportunities you deserve for sure. Just talk to me a little bit about what you feel this achievement for you individually has maybe done for the community as a whole.
Yeah, thank you for that. I think, disability is so oftentimes just looked at as a charity case, or like, oh, pity, and it's never given the value, and you're always looked at in such a stereotypical light. And I really feel like, being a part of this amazing community, both the disability community, which really has so much value and is so overlooked and underserved, and being able to bring a name like Forbes to it, and it automatically gives, kind of going back to what I said earlier about that authority and that value, and changing that conversation from charity to actual wealth. So it's been amazing to see that, and to change those conversations too.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think something that you said there in relation to the community being overlooked, not necessarily being given the opportunities that it deserves. You had an impact on me the first time we spoke. I've had a number of, I think, 4 disability athletes or people that have struggled with disabilities on the show since I had you on. And for me, I believe that's my only ability within what I'm doing here, is how can I listen to your words and pass it on? How can I listen to your words and find ways to embrace and invest myself more in these communities that you're talking about? And hearing that something like this has brought awareness to something that frankly should have had awareness many moons ago, is great to hear. And I'm so happy for you, because I know you're probably exhausted about just anything and everything that you have going on, but I know you're so driven to keep doing it, and it's so wonderful. And for you to get this token of appreciation through Forbes is just wonderful. Let's maybe just stay on this for a little bit while longer here in terms of your career, because I do want to get to some other stuff here within the interview. But one thing I'd love to just learn is maybe some other milestones, some other big achievements that you may have had here in the last few months since we last spoke.
Thank you. Yeah, I appreciate it. And I'm so pleased to hear that as well, that you've had more guests on, disabled guests. I feel like too, sometimes people just don't realize it's just a lack of education, a lack of knowledge, no fault of, anyone's individually. It's just a problem within like a system, and this systemic oppression. And I think It's wonderful when people actually know about it, that they actively take actionable steps to make the change. So that's just so awesome to hear.
Mm.
I love that. But I guess some other milestones. I mean, professionally, it's been an incredible year. We've signed some incredible clients, super high profile clients, and we're also going to be partnering with LA Fashion Week, having some disabled models walk down or roll down a catwalk. We've just been commissioned by the Cannes Lions Festival to create a piece of content for their big event. I also can't quite believe it, but got the Diana Award, which is in legacy of Princess Diana, and that was an amazing piece of recognition as well. So it's just so many different things have happened, and it's been quite the year.
Wow, as a fellow Brit, anything associated to Diana is incredible. The history that's associated with her in terms of the human being she was. You talk about working with disabilities and underprivileged. She was generations ahead of her time, to say the least. So and some of those companies and I don't even know organizations, I suppose you would call the LA Fashion Week and Cannes Festival. Like, these are just household things that you don't necessarily associate with disabilities. And again, I love hearing this. You just keep immersing this tiny community that you are into these larger communities, and it's slowly going to make your smaller community even bigger every time it gets into one of these larger communities. It's just so great to hear, and I think so much of this that's happening goes back to what we talked about in our first interview. And again, if you're listening to this and you didn't hear the first one, I really encourage you to go and listen to it, because it's going to help you understand that so many of these pieces were put in place over the last few years, and Keely's really starting to see the fruits of her hard labor come to fruition now, which is just so great to see and so awesome to hear. But you touched on things professionally right at the beginning of that answer there. Personally, you got engaged recently. First off, congratulations with that.
Thank you so much. Thank you. And I also just want to touch on too, I think it's really testament to so many different disability organizations and companies and activists who have really been putting in the work for such a long time. I feel like we as a whole, as a community, have really made strides in so many different areas, and we're just really lucky to be, I think, in it at the right time and at such a good poignant moment. It's really pivotal. I think something else that just launched actually earlier this week, or maybe, gosh, I'm like lost on the calendar. I think maybe it was like last week, but is We the 15, which is a global movement led by the International Paralympic Committee. And we're lucky enough to be one of the founding organizations. There's 20 companies and organizations who founded We the 15, including the United Nations, AT Scale, Project Zero, and others. And it's been already called the largest human rights movement in history, which is incredible. So that's also been really awesome. But yes, on a personal note, thank you so much. And actually, I'm already married. We got married last week.
Wow. That's amazing. Congratulations again. That's awesome.
Thank you.
Wonderful. So wonderful. What's the rush? Why are you doing it so fast?
I mean, we were just thinking, like, all of my family is in the UK, and his family is over on the East Coast, so we couldn't get everyone together anyway. So we just said, we're untraditional, so let's keep it that way. So that's what we did.
Oh, I love it. We all have our own story in terms of how it all comes together, and you've certainly written your own one, that's for sure. But I do want to stay on this personal stuff a little bit, because you've shared some thoughts online, and I don't want to go into them myself. I want you to talk about this a little bit, just in terms of what it meant to you to realize this part of your personal life.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, it's definitely a challenge, isn't it? I think when you're so career driven, and you're so determined and dedicated, and you feel like that's the only thing that you can handle. I feel like for so long I was like, nope, that's the only thing I ever want to do with my life is just my career. But I feel like once you get into that spiral, you start to realize that it's physically impossible, mentally impossible. You can't just constantly focus on that. You have to have a life outside of work, and it feeds so much into everything you do. And I'm very lucky that my partner is also very career driven, and we're in the same industry, and we get to bounce ideas. And I honestly don't think my business would be where it is now if it wasn't for him.
Mhm.
As well, like, he's just got that knowledge, that business knowledge as well, and such a great holistic approach to it, even though may not know the ins and outs, but it's been only beneficial. And I definitely wish that me a few years ago that was like, no, zero personal life
Mhm.
didn't exist. But it's great because it allowed me to see it from a different perspective.
Right, and we have to go through that, right? We have to go through that transition of realizing that we're not, in fact, Superman or Superwoman. We
Right.
are we are human beings at the end of the day, and we do need that full approach to life. And I always see it as filling up buckets, and we have all these different buckets in our lives, and so often we just fill up that career
Yeah.
bucket all the way to the top. And for me personally, I mean, I went through that the hard way too. I kind of buried myself in a lot of things and allowed myself to get to my late 20s, early 30s, and realized that one thing that was so important to me growing up was eventually being married, having a family, and all this sort of stuff. And when I actually prioritized that, I started to realize that, I don't need to be working on my life, on my career, sorry, every minute of every day. I can have a life. And I think that is something that, hearing you figure that out a few years before me, I definitely congratulate you on that, simply because it's worth it once you figure it out. It really is worth it. So what is having now a husband? What is having that in your life? Sort of, how has that made you more successful, would you say, when it comes to your career?
Gosh, that's such a great question. I feel like so many different ways. I feel like as well, like as a disabled person and someone who's in the disability community, you don't see the representation like on film or on TV of like disabled people
Mm,
having personal lives. Like you just see them, these terrible stereotypes. You don't see them in love. You don't see the love interests.
mm,
So I feel like for me as well, it's doing things that I never saw, and hopefully I can also provide that representation for other people who maybe not still not able to see that and see themselves reflected, but show that we have these fully rounded lives. We
mm.
have you can have it all. You can, you don't have to be stuck in this box that I think we oftentimes feel like we have to be in. Um, so I think it's continually opening my mind to more opportunities and different things I never thought that I would experience.
Oh, I love it. It's so great. And in terms of just the next step for you now from a professional standpoint and also just a personal standpoint, like you seem to achieve a lot in very small periods of time. We still have a few months left here of 2021. What does the remainder of the year look like for you, Keely?
It's packed. I mean, we're growing and expanding so quickly, which is really exciting. So we're hiring right now,
Mm.
um, and just growing. I mean, it's amazing. We've got a lot of big partnerships coming up, a lot of big consulting jobs coming up. So yeah, hiring, growing, expanding.
And where are you in the stages of the studio there back in the UK?
So we're still in the tedious planning permission process, a lot of paperwork, a lot of back and forth, but hopefully the creative concept and things can come out soon. But yeah, just planning paperwork.
Good deal. Well, let's before I let you go, let's just leave it on the topic of competitiveness, which we're all about on this show. And what I love about our conversation here is, you've checked all the boxes in terms of just making sure we're taking care of ourselves as human beings. We're being obviously very passionate and driven towards what it is we're trying to accomplish in life. As you, the competitor, what's making you so hungry right now to just keep going? Because you're obviously seeing some amazing results, but at the same time, there's still so much more work to do. So tell us a little bit about where you are in a competitive mindset at the moment.
I think having that bigger picture, focusing on that scale of it, but then working with incremental impact. I feel like at the beginning of my career, I got so scared with the amount that I wanted to do and like this huge big picture. And while that keeps me driven every single day, I focus on those smaller and incremental things that I could do, those actionable steps every day, but while keeping the bigger picture in mind.
I love it. And what I love about the show sometimes is we get very similar pieces of advice in shows back to back to back, and it just so happens that that's exactly what you've just done there. So I love hearing success stories from one world and success stories from completely different worlds, holding on to very similar mindsets in terms of what it means to be competitive and certainly be successful. Keely, I'm so delighted we found a few minutes in this incredibly busy life of yours to sit down and talk. It's always such a pleasure to have you on the show, and again, congrats on all the success and good luck in marriage as well. It sounds like it's all happening for you right now. So good luck with it all.
Thank you so much. And I remember when we last spoke, I think you had just had a newborn. How is
he's
that?
wonderful. He's a eating machine now. He is well on his way, and he's trying to catch up big sister. And life on a personal note for me is a blessing every day, no doubt.
I love that. Well, thank you so much. Thank you.
Absolutely. Thank you. And my thanks again to Keely for joining us on the show today. As I alluded to at the outset, so much of what we talked about here, the successes, the achievements, all of these things came from a place of intent. But the intent with which she was willing to embrace the need for a more fulfilling life, to have all of these reasons to be waking up on a day-to-day basis, not just from a professional standpoint, but from a personal standpoint too. That intent to have a all-encompassing lifestyle is something that you need to be conscious of too. You can't just assume that you're going to be prioritizing these things on a day-to-day basis. And as you can see here in Keely's case, and I know is the case with so many people the world over, when you're making time to invest in yourself, in the emotions, in the love, in the necessity that comes with just life in general beyond what you're doing within your career, when you're willing to do that and make time for that, your career is going to benefit as well. Of course, this show is about career. It's Career Competitor, right? It's all about competing within your career at the highest level. But we're over 100 episodes into this thing now, and you should have been able to pick up by now that the way in which we're successful is by addressing ourselves, the individual. The way in which we're successful is by prioritizing our fulfillment, our happiness. And that can't just be one street. That can't just be one direction. It has to be as many areas as possible that make up who it is we are. So make time for you, make time for relationships, make time for love, make time for these things, because you're going to start to realize that internal happiness will then drive the competitor, will drive you in your career to fulfill, to realize your potential and go on and achieve these great things just the same way that Keely is able to do now. So for myself, I listen to Keely's story. I take so much encouragement into the way in which I'm living my life. To hear someone who's being so successful doing things in a way that I myself preach and prioritize too is always a really reassuring thing to hear. And I'm sure there's many of you listening to this that are able to say, yes, Steve, I'm doing those things. I'm embracing this full lifestyle, and it's definitely paying off. And for those of you that feel like you're drowning at work every single day, starting to hit your head against the wall, starting to feel as though you're plateauing within your career, look around the rest of your life. Are you making time for those things that are important, that are going to make you happy, that are going to make you feel as though as a person that you've got people to be waking up for on a day-to-day basis, not just a career to be waking up for? So take all of this on board. Think about it. See if you can embrace it a little bit more within your lifestyle. And in the meantime, guys, as always, I appreciate you stopping by and listening to me. If this is the first time that you're checking out Career Competitor, first and foremost, make sure you go back and listen to the first episode that I did with Keely a little over a year ago. But secondly, subscribe. Make time to download many, many, many more episodes onto your phone, onto whatever it is you're listening to me on. Make sure you're making time to listen to Career Competitor, because as a podcast, we are finding ways to optimize what it is you're doing within not just your career, but within your life in general. So keep up the great work, guys. Best of luck with anything and everything you've got going on within your world. And I look forward to speaking with you all again very soon. Bye for now.